Azure storage platforms provide cloud-based storage solutions and designed to handle massive amounts of data securely and efficiently. Whether you are storing files, databases, application logs, or backups, Azure storage platforms gives you scalability, durability, and security to meet your needs. Why should you use Azure storage? If you use Azure storage, your data is automatically replicated to prevent loss from hardware failures or disasters. All your data is encrypted at rest and in transit, and you can control access using Microsoft Enter ID and role-based access control. Whether you are dealing with gigabytes or petabytes of data, Azure storage scales with your needs. And if you use Azure storage, you don't have to worry about hardware maintenance, updates, or failures. Azure handles it all. And lastly, you can access your data from anywhere using HTTP or HTTPS, REST APIs, SDKs, PowerShell, CLI, or Azure Storage Explorer. Azure offers different storage services based on your needs. Let's unpack various storage services. First storage service is Azure Blob Storage, which is also known as Object Storage. If you need unstructured storage for things like images, backups, or application logs, Azure Blob Storage is the best choice. Azure Blob Storage lets you store massive amounts of data without worrying about structure. It supports Data Lake Storage Gen 2 for big data analytics, and you can access data via REST API, SDKs, or NFS 3.0. When to use Azure Blob Storage? You use Azure Blob Storage when you want to store images, videos, or application logs. Or you use Azure Blob Storage when you want to host website assets or streaming media. Or you use Azure Blob Storage when you want to build enterprise data lakes for analytics. Next storage service is Azure Files, which is also known as Cloud File Storage. If you want file shares that multiple VMs can access, Azure File is the way to go. Azure File provides fully managed file shares using SMB, NFS, and REST API. It works for both cloud and on-prem deployments, and it supports shared access signature tokens for secure access. When you use Azure Files? You use Azure Files when you are migrating on-prem file shares to the cloud, or if you are sharing configuration files across multiple Azure VMs, or you are replacing traditional file servers or NAS devices. Next storage service is Azure NetApp Files. If you need high performance file storage for applications like SAP HANA or high performance computing, Azure NetApp Files is the best choice. Azure NetApp File delivers low latency, high speed storage for enterprise workloads. It supports NFS and SMB file protocols, and it is best for enterprise grade applications that require strict compliance. When to use Azure NetApp Files? You can use Azure NetApp Files if you are running SAP HANA, Oracle, or high performance applications, or you are migrating enterprise applications to the cloud without changes, or you are using multiple file storage protocols such as NFS or SMB. Next storage service is Azure Managed Disk, which is also known as block storage for VMs. If you are running Azure virtual machines, you will need Azure Managed Disk for storage. Azure Managed Disk provides highly available persistent disk storage for VMs. It supports standard, premium, and ultra SSD based storage. And you can take snapshot and encrypt your data at rest. When to use Azure Managed Disk? You can use Azure Managed Disk if you are running stateful applications on Azure virtual machines, or you are storing database files that need persistent disk storage, or you are running high performance workloads with low latency. Next storage service is Azure Elastic SAN, which is also known as Cloud SAN Storage. If you are looking for storage area network capabilities in the cloud, Azure Elastic SAN is the solution. Azure Elastic SAN provides iSCSI based cloud storage for databases and large workloads. It is optimized for SQL databases, MariaDB, and Kubernetes, and it offers high availability and centralized management. When to use Azure Elastic SAN? You can use Azure Elastic SAN if you are consolidating storage across multiple VMs and databases, or you are running high performance mission critical applications, or you are needing SAN like storage in the cloud. Next storage service is Azure Queue Storage. If you need to decouple microservices and process tasks asynchronously, Azure Queues is the way to go. Azure Queue Storage stores messages asynchronously between app components, and it allows background jobs, event-driven workflows, and scalable processing. When to use Azure Queue Storage? You can use Azure Queue Storage if you are processing image uploads, order processing, and notifications, or you are scaling application components independently. Next storage is Azure Table Storage, which is also known as NoSQL Key Value Storage. If you need a simple, flexible NoSQL database, Azure Tables is your solution. Azure Table Storage provides fast schema-less storage for structured data, and now part of Azure Cosmos DB for Table API. When to use Azure Table Storage? You can use Azure Table Storage if you are storing user profiles, device metadata, or logs, or you are running web application that requires scalable storage. Let's discuss some of the security best practices for Azure Storage Platform. When it comes to access control and authentication, you should use Microsoft Entra ID for RBAC-based authentication. You can use SaaS tokens for fine-grained, time-limited access to storage resources. And you should avoid shared key authorization because it is less secure than Entra ID. When it comes to encryption, you get encryption at rest, means your data is automatically encrypted using AES 256. For client-side encryption, you can encrypt data before sending it to Azure Storage. And when it comes to data redundancy and availability, locally redundant storage keeps 3 copies of your data in the same region, and geo-redundant storage replicates data to a secondary Azure region. Bottom line, Azure Storage Platform provides you many storage services out of which you can pick up the best solution based on your business needs, which also comes with many built-in security features and capabilities to secure your data.